So in this video on Dynamics 365 for Sales, it's going to cover off an old school alternative to the timeline view. So let's go into the system and show you what I mean. So in the previous video, and I'll provide a link to that below, we talked about the timeline. Now the timeline is here. I'm in a contact record specifically at the moment, but this applies to any record type that we want to add a timeline to. And this is a sort of it's a core feature of the CRM system. It's our ability to track activities with whoever, typically with customers, prospective customers, whatever stakeholders we want to track. It's the essence of CRM, that sort of basic contact management, to be able to record the interactions we have, so whether that's emails, phone calls, meetings, tasks, notes, etc. And the primary way of doing that within Dynamics is this timeline view, which personally I don't find particularly intuitive. For a start, it's kind of difficult to sort of see what the different record types, and if you've got a lot of activity, you've got to kind of scroll down to the bottom and then ask it to load more, and then you're going to load more and you carry on scrolling. And yeah, you've got the ability to do filtering and searching, but it's fairly limited. I mean, personally, I don't find it particularly intuitive. I know it's kind of the vogue in terms of user interfaces, and I know Salesforce has something very similar. But back in the early days, we had a much simpler view of activities. Now, you can kind of get to that if you go to the related area here and click on activities, and it comes up with an activity view, and you can change the different views. And you can create your activities here just by clicking on new activity and putting it in this sort of grid view. Now, this grid view for me is just a lot simpler to see. I can look at this, I can understand what's going on, I can see all the activities on one screen, I can filter and search it more easily. I've got the ability to apply column filters on the columns, so I could filter by certain activity types. I just want to see my emails, apply that. It's pretty quick and easy to do. Now, the other way of doing that, that's in the related tab. I still got to go to the related tab and then search for activities in it, as I did before. But what I can do is create on the screen, have a separate activities tab. So I just have a tab that's pre-set up with all my activities. I've set it up in this case so that I can choose what view I want to use. If I click on that, I've got all the system views, but any personal views that I've created. So it means I can actually analyze or look at activities in exactly the way I want to. If I want to create my own personal view with my own personal filters, my own set of columns in the column order that I particularly want, I can do that, save that, and I can reuse that. To me, this makes looking at activities much easier than the timeline view, which, as I say, I don't find personally, and others might, and if it works for you, it works for you, particularly intuitive. I like this idea of having activities here. Reality is, and the good news is, you can have both. If I add an activity here, it'll appear in my activity list here. If I add my activity list here, it'll appear in my timeline view. So there's no harm in having both, and then you've got the interface to suit all people. Anyway, if you are using Dynamics and feel you'd like to get a little bit more out of it, then and you need a bit of guidance on sort of next steps, then feel free to reach out. I'll put a link below. Always happy to have a chat with people about their particular situation. Anyway, hopefully that's been helpful. This is one in quite a number of videos we've done specifically on Dynamics 365 for sales, so feel free to check those out. But anyway, thanks very much for your time today, and hopefully catch up with you again soon.